Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Beyond the Mat with me, J. Cole Yoga, in another special edition. This is another request. I've been asked a few times to do these certain podcasts about plant medicines. And today we're going to talk about, and again, this is a weird one because I've never felt like talking about this stuff in video, in public or anything like that. And I think that in today's day and age where we're at right now, if we ever want these things to be a more widely available, publicly accessible thing, we need to take them out of this negative stigma that they have and get them out of this like drug and more into plant medicine situation. And today we're talking about LSD, acid, the old trippy train, Lucy in the sky with diamonds, baby. So the first time that I ever tried LSD was, I think I was 19 years old with my girlfriend, and I call him my cousin, but he wasn't my cousin. He was a loose relative of so many cousins removed away. I don't know how that works. So he was like, "Hey guys, I got something for you," and he pulled out these little squares of paper that he had like cut in, or I guess he hadn't cut them yet, but they were little strips of paper, and he was like, "Here, we're just gonna cut one of these and we're just gonna put that on in your tea or coffee or whatever we were drinking at the time." And my girlfriend was like, okay, and I was a naive 19-year-old motherfucker. I was spoon-fed my life. I had, up until this point, and even after this, because the first time it didn't take, up until this point, I had not like had that freeing experience. I still felt that the world was this like 9 to 5, you work, you go home, nightclubs, raves didn't exist. I didn't know what a rave was. I didn't know people stayed up all night. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know what party drugs. I didn't know about anything. And so I was very naive in that sense. And this relative guy, he was like, "Ooh, we're going to put some of these in our coffee." And my girlfriend was like, "Ooh, I know what that is." And immediately I was like, oh my God, this is like what my parents always told me about. Someday I'm going to be faced with a friend trying to get me high on drugs that I don't want to take. They're going to fry my fucking brain open. And I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it at all, to the point where he could feel that. And he just looked and he said, "No, this isn't what you think." He goes, "This is pure THC from weed, and they've somehow compressed it down into a little crystalline form, and they've put it on these little squares of paper." And I fucking ate it up. I believed that shit because in the depths of my heart, I did not want to believe that somebody who I worked closely with all the time would put me in a situation like that where I'd have to say no to a friend, to say no to illegal drugs and shit like that. And so it was kind of weird. So immediately I'm like at ease now. I'm like, oh, it's just more weed. I smoke weed all the time. Yeah, that's nothing. So he's like, "Wait a minute. We better take this one little square and cut it into thirds." So he cuts this one hit of acid into 3, and we each take a third. Well, 45 minutes goes by and we don't feel anything. So he cuts another one into a third, and we take that, and like another 45 minutes goes by and we don't feel anything. So he cuts another one into a third. Well, now we've each taken a full one into a third, and the first third hit me after I took that third. And so it hit all of us. And that motherfucker, we're not in a beautiful place with color and fabrics and smells and incenses and lovely music. No. We were in an office complex where we worked, and we had an office in this office complex, and we would sometimes hang out in the office building on our weekends and on our off time. It's a fun place to hang out. We had the internet, we had computers and offices and everything like that, and high-speed internet. We didn't have any of that shit at home. And so it was just a great fun place to hang out. We're hanging out in the front reception area, and that's when we were he was cutting up these little acid tabs, I guess, and took those. It hits us. We all start getting the giggles and laughing a little bit. And this guy, we'll call him my cousin, he's like, "Gotta go, guys." out the door, down the street, books it home. Leaves me and my girlfriend there. Well, little did any of us realize that what we had taken was like going to be like a 13-hour experience. And little did we realize either that this 13-hour experience was going to get in the way of us having to try and do our life shit. And so for the next like 2 to 4 hours, we rolled around on the ground in this office complex, laughing our asses off. We used to smoke in the basement. That's how far back in the day this was. They used to allow smoking in the basement, and I smoked cigars and cigarettes back then. So, and she smoked cigarettes, so we're like, let's go have a smoke. Yeah. Oh, a cigarette sounded so good at the time. And we get down there and light it up, and oh, you take a couple drags, it felt so good. And then the third drag, just like, oh, this is fucking gross. What's this? And then we looked at each other and we were like, let's have sex now. Yeah. So in this gross basement, we're now on the floor in gross like office carpeting down in the basement in the smoking room, and we're trying to fuck on the floor. And it was fun for a minute, and then my brain was just like, phew, but this, but that, but this, but that, but this, but that, but this, but that, just exploding outwards in thoughts, and I cannot focus on one penis trying to go into one vagina. It's not happening. Like, I'm just like, this is here, physical stuff going on, and my mind is like out in outer space and not understanding even that I'm not on acid. That would have been nice to just know, like, oh, well, hey, I'm on acid. So thinking that all these other thoughts and laughing, and the laughing didn't stop, and we rolled around on the floor and laughed and giggled and laughed and giggled, and then we laughed that I couldn't focus on my dick long enough to keep it hard long enough to do any of this. And by the time that I had forgotten about even what we were doing, she had even forgotten what we were doing down there on the floor rolling around. Fucking zipped our pants back up, and the phone starts ringing, and it's her neighbor who's calling us and saying like, where the fuck are you guys? You're supposed to be babysitting for me. It's my one night out through the whole month when I have to go out and party, like fucking party hard. And so like we had already promised this lady that we would go and babysit her kids. And we're like, yeah, laughing and rolling on the ground. Ah, it's still funny. Yeah, we'll be there soon. Click. Oh, I don't know, another 45 minutes goes by, the phone rings again. Yeah, we're on our way, haha. Still rolling around on the ground laughing. Another 45 minutes goes by. Click. Yeah, haha, we'll be right there. Okay, look, are you guys fucking coming or not? Oh, we're like, all right, we gotta figure this out. So, look, if you're not coming, like, I feel like something's wrong. I'm gonna go to your parents. Her parents lived next door. She lived at home, this girl. And so we get in the car. Somehow, I somehow locked this office building up with my key, got in the car, she's driving her dad's car. I can't even fucking see what's in front of me anymore. Like, everything is so whoosh, whoosh, like a claymation cartoon that the clay just keeps bloop, 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 and the visuals are just so intense and crazy. And there wasn't a lot of like psychological stuff going on. It was very visual and laughing, lots of laughing. So we get in this car and we start driving. We've got to drive from one end of the city in Moncton, New Brunswick, and we've got to get all the way out directly across the street from the airport in Dieppe. So if anybody knows Moncton and Dieppe, how far that is, driving on Champlain Street all the way out, high on a head full of acid, you can understand how crazy that would be. And so we're coming up to like stoplights, and I'm looking at the color of the light, and it's like, I don't know what color that is, because the green is now purple, yellow, orange, red, green, and then all the colors at the same time. And it just kept going like that. And she's like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to go when all the other cars go. So we kind of just had to do that all the time until we came to the front of the line, at which point we're just kind of sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. And now the light definitely is green, but we had no way of knowing that the light was green. So we had to just basically wait for the people behind us to start fucking honking on the horn. Okay, it must be green. Ooh, let's go. And it's funny when you get to a stoplight, you can never remember, is the green on top or is the red on top? And the yellow in the middle. What is it? I don't know. You don't know right now either. And none of you are high right now. So yeah, let's just chalk it up to that. We ended up getting to her house. We did not go in and see her parents. We just went right in to the babysitter. She called her parents, said, "Hey, Mom, we're here babysitting." Blah, okay, see you later. The babysitter sees us, eyes, pupils like fucking quarters, and we're still laughing. And this girl, the lady whose house it was, she had probably 20 friends over, all sitting around her table. We're talking like old school bikers, you know, like patches, everything, all the chains and the leather and everything, and big white beards on the dudes, and they're just looking at us. And my girlfriend goes, "Oh, we ate these little pieces of paper, we put them in our tea, and it made everything funny." And I was like, "No, we're on weed, we smoked weed." And then the lady who lived there, she's like, "Oh my God," she's like, "Fuck. The babysitters are both high on acid, and they're talking about it in front of all my friends, and all I want to do is go outside and party." So she made a quick judgment and decided that she, rather than, you know, fucking kick us out and send us home, she's like, "No, you guys are going to watch my kids. They're already sleeping in bed. You guys are just going to sit here and watch some trippy shows on TV and laugh and giggle, and this is all going to wear off by the morning, and everything's going to be great." And she left, and we literally stayed there and played Donkey Kong on Super Nintendo for the next fucking, like, whatever, till the sun came up the next morning. And the walls stopped melting, and everything stopped twisting and moving and breathing, and everything wasn't alive anymore. And so that was my first LSD experience. And I'll have to come back and tell you about the second time, because that doesn't even scratch the surface of what happened on the second time. So this video camera shuts off after 12 minutes every time, guaranteed. I think it's just the card that I'm using. That was the end of the podcast though, folks. Until next time, if you like these videos, please subscribe. Or here, I don't know. And there's a link you can click on Patreon if you want to donate to the show and keep this ball rolling. Keep the train tracks greased and keep things sliding smoothly. Ladies and gentlemen, I love you. Peace, love, and light. Namaste and all that other good noise. Ding!